So when you do a search for therapy pet, the only pet you see used is dogs. Now you all knew that. Didn't have to tell you that. The only pet that happens to cause stress is also dogs. I mean, think about it. No other pet stresses people out. None. When you do a search, my pet stresses me out. Guess what the only pet they talk about is? So this is facts coming from the pet owners themselves. Not even coming from me. You want to find out what pet stresses people out the most? You do a simple search on it. The only pet they talk about is dogs. So obviously, dogs are the only pet that stresses people out. That's the rule. Exceptions are not. And I don't think there are many exceptions. I think that's few and far in between exceptions. Like something that you will seldom find is a rabbit owner stressed out by the rabbit. I've never seen a cat owner stressed out by their cat. The only time that happens is when it's some weird issue with the owner. They feel attention deprived. Usually it has something to do with some type of social disorder the person already has. But as you can see, I didn't put dog in the search. That's the only thing they're talking about. Is your dog stressing you out? Your dog stressing you out. Look, your dog causing too much stress. They got entire message boards. They got multiple posts, forums about this very topic. And as you can see, once again, the only pet they've ever talked about is dogs. So how does this work? I'm going to make a statement that I believe is a fact. Dogs are the leading cause of stress. They're the number one source of stress for people. Easily. And I'm talking about outside sources. You can't compare dogs to financial problems. If you do a search on the leading causes of stress, like here you see at the top, financial problems. Well, you can't escape financial problems. And if you're lucky, you may not have any. It all depends on how clever you are, how you plan your financial life. Discipline. A lot goes into that. That's not an outside stressor. Work-related stress, same thing. Personal relationships, parenting. These can't even be compared to dog ownership so easily. Dogs, people don't think about stuff like this. But most definitely, dogs are the leading cause of stress for people. At the top of the list. Now, the fact that the fact that only dogs stress people out, and when they get stressed out, it's severe. A lot of times it's severe. It's stress that you don't see from anything else. It makes them angrier than stress that comes from anywhere else. Dogs infuriate people. Now, I don't know where K-Nun got this video from, but it's hilarious. And I want to deal with it.
I hate having a dog. Like, it's not fun. I don't know how to make him not be, like, reactive and aggressive. He's almost 6 years old. And he bit me on my wrist today, and he's never bitten me. Like, he's making every day. He's making every day miserable. He makes every day just miserable.
Now, my goodness. Nothing, especially not a pet, should stress anybody out to the point where they're crying. That's not even realistic. Does that make sense? That is not a realistic reaction to being stressed out by a pet. I can see you getting annoyed and, maybe have a scowl on your face for a few seconds, maybe a few minutes. But to start bawling, that's a different level of stress.
Reactive and aggressive.
Now listen to what she says. The things she says is driving her crazy.
Not fun. I don't know how to make him not be, like, reactive and aggressive. He's almost...
Reactive to what? Reactive to literally nothing. Or reactive to everything. Sounds like a deranged creature to me. But let's continue.
6 years old. And he bit me on my wrist today, and he's never bitten me. Like, he's making every day miserable. He makes every day just miserable.
Okay, wait a minute. It's a deep level of stress right here. And to say that they make every day miserable, this is the anti-cure for stress itself. This is the source of stress. If they stress you out to that extent, to where you describe the whole day as miserable just because of the dog, You mean nothing positive that happened that day outweighed the stress the dog caused? That means the dog is the emperor of stress. It's the one thing you don't want around when you want to reduce stress. When you want to reduce stress, they are the one things you want to make sure are not around. So it sounds like to me.
And I don't know what to do. Like, I want to get rid of him, but I...
Now you have another problem. This thing that's so stressful, you also have hang-ups about getting rid of it? Yeah, that's a problem.
He's almost 6 years old. And he bit me on my wrist today, and he's never bitten me. Like, he's making every day miserable. He makes every day just miserable. And I don't know what to do. Like, I want to get rid of him, but I can't because he's my baby.
Oh boy. We found the problem. You having hang-ups about getting rid of it because you look at it as your baby. Okay? Question. Is it really a baby? No. You just pretend that it is. So what's the source of your stress? You know, your delusion is making it worse. If you looked at it, let's say as something other than your baby, you'd probably would have gotten rid of it. Probably would have never adopted it. But she raised this dog from a puppy, from what I understand. That make it even worse. Which tells you you shouldn't be doing stuff like that. Don't get carried away in your imagination. We're not supposed to imagine that we are the parents of dogs. Which means we're not supposed to physically actually go through the process of raising them. You being a natural organism, mother by nature, you're naturally going to attach yourself to it to some extent, which is something that's not supposed to happen. That attachment is supposed to take place with your offspring. But here's the thing. You looking at it as your baby wouldn't be a problem if it wasn't a stressful creature. If it never caused stress for you, you wouldn't be crying right now. You wouldn't be making this video about how it stresses you out. Your belief that it's your baby would just be a harmful, or somewhat of a harmless thing. But they want to tell us dogs are therapeutic. They want to open multiple pet therapy programs all across the country. They want to haul dogs into every place that you can think of. Have y'all ever sat and made a list of all the places they haul? They have these therapy dogs in airports, as we all know, schools, libraries, sheriff departments, police departments, courtrooms, dentist offices, hospitals, emergency rooms. They all do it under this facade of pet therapy program. But the only pet they use is dogs, which happen to be the only pet that causes stress. A big reason why they have to drug them up first. These things are the source of stress. And then, these therapy dog programs, they lie to people. They make people think that, hey, dogs relieve stress. So some people who have stress disorders and stuff like that, they'll get a dog. And one person like this left this post on Reddit. A person with mental health issues. Now, when you visit Reddit, focus on the groups who are critical of dogs. This is not dog free. This group is called Pets. Just, pets. It's not designed to be a space where people share their frustration with dogs. It's not an anti-dog platform. So when people have complaints about dogs in groups like this, it's a lot more significant than posts you'll find on Dog Free. But somebody in this group said, my dog stresses me out. I don't feel like she's good for my mental health. The dog urinates and defecates everywhere. Okay. This person wants to get rid of the dog. Says, look at this sentence here. She's supposed to be helpful for my mental health, but she's been stressful and makes my mental health worse. Makes it worse. And they're the only pets that would do that. And they're the only pets that are used as therapy pets. Really? You see, facts like this should serve as fuel for pushback against therapy dogs. They should be rejected and looked at as disrespectful. Even dog lovers should reject the idea of therapy dogs. Because many, I would say most, if not all, dog lovers are aware that dogs stress a lot of people out. Because most dog lovers themselves snap and spaz out, smack their dog around. They have moments of stress themselves. Even they should laugh at the idea of dogs being able to calm people and make them feel relaxed and relieve stress. Again, you don't see people stressed out like this by any other pet. I'd like to talk to the CEOs of these pet therapy organizations They would never talk to the general public. They would want to avoid discussions like this. Dog culture is the only segment of society that avoids scrutiny. They dodge it like the plague. They duck underneath bushes and everything, hiding from criticism. And this is why. All of the facts, all of the evidence works against everything they promote. Now, the stress that you see from this young lady, that's simple, typical stress. That's like basic stress. She's just stressed out because of how the dog behaves.
It's like days like these where I just wish I didn't have a dog. I want to like take him places. I want to take him to the park. I want to take him on walks. But the second I leave my apartment with him, he is an absolute nightmare.
Now, think about that. Think about that. How's that even possible? For something to be a nightmare as soon as you take it out the home. I mean, how is it possible to be a nightmare? When you leave the home as a dog, there ain't much to do. You walk down a few blocks and come back home. You might pass some people and animals, and that's the very thing that sets them off, isn't it? It probably doesn't even need to see people or animals. Probably start spazzing out just at the sight of a wall. Start flipping and moaning and grunting and making noises, maybe barking at the sight of a tree. The most deranged creatures on earth, y'all using to relieve stress. Pure comedy. But like I said, that's simple stress. Dogs also cause a type of stress that's deeper than the stress that she is describing right now, and a lot worse. And only dogs cause this type of stress. Y'all remember this guy? This guy is annoying. Y'all remember this guy. Listen to this guy.
There's a lot of parts of that story, but the one I want to focus on is kind of the relationship between dogs and children, and in particular babies. When we're in this scenario, right, we got pregnant, we had a kid. If our dog hadn't been socialized to young babies when they were very, very young, when the dog was very, very young, then the dog can have a phobia of young children, of babies, because it's something new. It's something they weren't exposed to. When a dog is afraid of something or has a...
Did y'all catch that? This guy, some of you may have seen this video. He uploaded it a year ago, but it only has 3.5 thousand views. It's titled "Dog Haters Are Right." He actually acknowledges dog haters, Dog Free, and shares a statement from Dog Free about a dog that tried to kill someone's baby. And they got rid of the dog. And he tried to argue that the dog was actually afraid of the baby. And he argues that dogs attack babies because they're scared of them.
If the pound put that thing down. There's a lot of parts of that story, but the one I want to focus on is kind of the relationship between dogs and children, and in particular babies. When we're in this scenario, right, we got pregnant, we had a kid. If our dog hadn't been socialized to young...
Wait a minute. Y'all know I've been waiting for these trainers to make an excuse or explain why dogs attack newborns, babies. He actually tried to do it. But he used the exact same excuse that they use for toddlers, for young children. Not necessarily infants, but young children who can walk and run, between ages, let's say 4 and 12. He used the same excuse that they use with them. That the dog is actually afraid. Now, how many of y'all believe that? Does that make sense to any of you? Does it sound reasonable to any of you? I'm going to let him finish.
A lot of parts of that story, but the one I want to focus on is kind of the relationship between dogs and children, and in particular babies. When we're in this scenario, right, we got pregnant, we had a kid. If our dog hadn't been socialized to young babies when they were very, very young, when the dog was very, very young, then the dog can have a phobia of young children, of babies, because it's something new. It's something they weren't exposed to. When a dog is afraid of something or has a phobia of something stresses it out, there's two things the dogs will try to do. The first thing is the dog should try to run away because they're trying to get away from the thing that's making them uncomfortable. And if they can't get away, then their only other option is to become big and scary, aggressive, and attack to try to scare away that thing that's making them uncomfortable. Now, I
think he's done.
agree 100%. It is completely unacceptable for dogs to be aggressive towards humans, especially babies, and especially a humongous, powerful dog like a German Shepherd. One bite from a German Shepherd on a baby's neck, baby's dead, okay? It's true. It is a very bad situation. That said, a dog's behavior and socialization is only as good as whatever the owners actually did and are still doing to keep that dog well trained. And
does that sound reasonable to any of you? What do y'all think about that? Now, some of you might remember that he is actually going against what a lot of other trainers say. Remember, we've read where a lot and heard a lot of other trainers say that dogs attack infants because the infants remind them of prey. They mimic injured, vulnerable prey. That it's their prey drive that gets triggered. In other words, the dogs don't feel afraid. They feel emboldened because they have an immobile, baby can't move. An immobile living creature that can only squirm its limbs, move and wag its limbs, arms, hands, and feet. Dogs are smart enough to understand what that is. That's an easy target. You can't get on all fours and move around. You're very small, extremely small. They usually are asleep. Infants usually are asleep, and the most they do is move their little hand. Does that seem like an organism or creature that a dog would be afraid of? These people, they'll try anything. So rather than tuck his tail and try to run away, and he said that's one of the things they'll try to do. They'll try to run away, which that would make more sense, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be easy for the dog to do that, seeing that an infant can't move? If the dog is afraid, they say one of the first things dogs will try to do is get away, create distance, turn away, and walk away. Well, if you're dealing with a mobile creature that you're afraid of, it could just follow you. But with a baby, it's not going to follow you. So why don't they just run away? Why isn't that what we see dogs doing? That's not what they do. Dogs go straight up to infants and stuff their noses into the infants' faces. We've seen that. I've seen that several times. I just recently showed a video of that. Even though it was a doll, that's the same thing they do with newborns. We've seen the videos. And he's telling us, oh, they're actually afraid. Oh, such a sick culture. Dog culture just, there's so many layers to it, to their con. Now, in situations like this, where a dog, attacks a young person or older person, it's been happening a lot this year. A lot of dog attacks. In situations like that, sometimes the people are permanently mutilated or they're deleted. In which case, there are funerals and, police squad cars and whatnot. What other pet causes situations like that? That's a whole different level of stress. And it's a type of stress that's felt constantly in this country as a result of dogs. Here just recently, a dog lover, lady in Tucson. Y'all seen that report, right? Lady in Tucson. Oh, I still have it. A dog lover. A pit bull lover was deleted by her own dogs. And this, as you all know, is just one story out of many. 63-year-old lady. 63, 61. Okay, maybe I have to refresh it. Maybe it just won't play. Here, we'll just read it. That their video player is garbage. There you go, right there. She was fostering it. The only people who foster dogs are dog lovers. At 63 years old, she didn't start doing this yesterday. This is a dog, a bully breed lover. Now they're dealing with a funeral. Think about that type of stress. That's a different type of stress, right? Well, don't know other pet cause that type of stress. See, look at this. Here they calling her 61 years old. So I don't know if she was 61, 63. It don't matter. At that age, you didn't start fostering dogs yesterday. And it wasn't. She's been doing this for a long time. And that dog that attacked her, she had been fostering that dog for over a year. Over a year. Oh, that's a different type of stress.
Attack that resulted in the death of a woman on Tucson's east side has sent shockwaves throughout the community.
While the dog has been euthanized by PAC, people in our area are still reeling from this tragic loss. 13 News reporter Raya Torres joining us live on the east side from where this happened.
Raya, just a devastating situation all around. What do we know so far?
Well, we don't know much, except we've learned today that 63-year-old Tina Wager died from this attack. We've also learned that she was a loving foster for many pets here in Tucson.
We were panicked. My whole family was panicked. My dad came home and he was panicked. It was not something that we expected in a peaceful neighborhood.
A neighborhood on the east side shaken by devastating news. A dog attack in a home on Sunday evening resulted in the death of 63-year-old Tina Wager. Raj Sihota lives next door to Tina. While he didn't interact with her much, he extends his condolences.
It's sad, and I pray for the family, but it's really sad and it's really scary for the whole neighborhood. It's devastating.
13 News learned tonight Tina died from puncture wounds and avulsion injuries as a result of the attack. Her death has been ruled as an accident by the Pima County Medical Examiner's Office.
Accident. They didn't have to say that. They didn't have to share that information. Yeah, the dog accidentally mauled her to death. We're supposed to believe that. Now, that girl that we watched earlier, who's really stressed out, actually, she seemed like she was about to have a nervous breakdown. Or it seemed like she was. She's having a nervous breakdown. Can you imagine if that same dog that was already driving her crazy went on to delete her 63-year-old grandmother? Like we just saw in that report. Could you imagine how much more stressed out she would be? Now, mind you, no other pet stresses people out even this much. But dogs are known to take it further than that, as we see in this story. So, these things are the last creatures that needs to be advertised as a therapeutic or the solution for stress. As y'all see in the thumbnail, that expert is me. That's right, a self-proclaimed expert. You know why? Because dog professionals, they can become professionals online. Take a few goofy courses, right? Take a few courses online. Boom. They're basically a self-appointed expert, dog trainer, or whatever. Right? So we've done the homework for several years. I'm comfortable holding the title, the title of expert, especially in this situation. As easy as this is to explain. Stress. They would actually have success at relieving stress if they use anything other than a dog. Because they're not relieving no stress in nobody, regardless of their age, with dogs. It's not happening. Yeah. Yeah. Did y'all also hear about that attack here recently? Speaking of Labradors. 5 Labradors, matter of fact. There was I think an 11-year-old attacked by 5 Labradors. And I think there was like red Labrador or velvet Labrador, something like that, something strange. They were all Labradors. And it was a vicious attack. Yeah, all of these things need to go. It's not just bully breeds. Okay, loss of life is a loss of life. They're all capable. Who cares that labs are less capable? Shout out to all of you able to join me for this live stream, and I hope you can join me on the next as we continue with this crusade.